Oh, we're starting. We're starting. Hold on. God damn, I didn't want to sneeze. That fucking hurt. I had a migraine all day. That hurt. Anyways, enough of me bitching. I'm South Texas Vale, and welcome to my leather shop. Today, we are just burnishing some pipe stands. And not not much else going on. You know, it's just a Tuesday night. We're just working. That's all we're doing. You know, been a productive week. It's been a productive week, and we are just chilling out and working. That's all we're doing. Damn. Ugh. Just chilling. That's all we're doing. In fact, I might get some music going. I don't know if it'll pick up on stream. Doesn't matter if it does. Nah, apparently you can't hear. Let me turn that down though. Just listening to some ambient chill while we burnish some cigar stands. Still building inventory for when we fully open and start selling to the public. I've got some contacts with some cigar shops and humidors around town that would be interested in carrying some of my leather work. So that should be good. That should be very, very good. Because then that means we have a market. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just burnishing. That's all I'm doing. Little fucking coconut slicker. And we're just going to town. Just burnishing. It's repetitive, it takes time, but it is what it is. It's unavoidable, you know? But it's a nice chill night to do it. I gotta go anywhere. It's been a week since I had an accident on Wednesday night where I got hit by someone running a red light. That was fun. And my car, I'm still waiting to hear from the insurance company if they're going to total the car or not. The airbags were deployed, so they'll probably total the car, unfortunately, which sucks because I really liked my little jet. It was a fun car, and I loved it. But that's just life, you know. Can't always get what you want. Life comes at you. You just gotta accept it sometimes. You know, roll with the punches. You know. All I'm doing now is I'm just burnishing it a little more on my jeans. Just really getting it in there, nice and smooth. And that actually really helps. Is it the right way to do it? Probably not. Most people use a piece of canvas. I'm just using gum. And I'm using my thigh as resistance against it. Little touches. Let's keep going. I don't think y'all can hear my music. I hope you can't. Because if you can't hear it, that means the stream will not be muted, which is good. All right, remove the excess and just keep sucking. You know, once you find a rhythm, it works. I probably should have done this before I riveted these, but such is life. Next time I'll burnish them instead of riveting I didn't have the podcast Sunday because I was watching the Super Bowl with friends, which was nice. You know, I know some people out there are like, oh yeah, sports, but people are going to like what they like, and there's nothing wrong with that inherently, unless they like something really fucking screwed up. At which point there can be things wrong with it. I'm not judging. So, unless you're hurting animals, children, or the elderly, I'm not going to judge you unless you do those things. You hurt animal, children, the elderly, then I judge you. But right now, let's just focus on what we're doing. You know, it's all we got. We don't have to do much. You know, just a little work. It's good to be busy. It's good to have something to do. And again, burnish it against the jeans. Hold the denim taut. You'll actually feel it kind of warming up as you're doing it. And I am in no way an expert. So I could be doing this completely wrong, and eventually I'll learn the right way to do it, or I could be doing an okay job. Who knows? You know? Who knows? We are actually also smoking a mystery cigar that one of my friends gave me. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's good. I don't think it's great. You know, it's not a great, cigar. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to snub my nose at a, gift from a friend, because only a jerk would do that. I don't want to be a jerk. I'm appreciative for what people give me, and I'm one of those people that will always try to be grateful. Too many people aren't grateful for what they're given, you know? They take it for granted, They take it for granted. They're not appreciative. I don't come from a rich family. I don't come from money. So everything I'm given, I am deeply appreciative for, you know? Like on Discord, I was running a joke on one of my other friends' servers about, $1 MS Paint commissions. Where for $1, you could get a really crappy MS Paint image that I would make for you in MS Paint, as promised. And that it would be garbage. It would not be worth money. And it would be horribly done. And it would probably be just stick figures. Because I was bored and thought it was funny. And some other people thought it was funny enough to pay me $1 for an MS Paint commission. So one of the images actually proud of. It's a ham and cheese sandwich on a gray plate with the crust. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. We're just burnishing the edges. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for, absolute perfection. We're just, it's weird. Whatever. We're just wanting to get it done. We want it to look good. But burnishing also protects the edge. Now, we are not burnishing the cutouts with the cigars or the bowl pipes. You know, we're not doing that. We are just focusing on Now, here in a minute, we are going to try an experiment. Mhm. Yeah, we'll try an experiment. And all Tokonol does is really just binds the edge of the leather and holds it together. Plus, it makes it look nice and protects it. But it's not too dissimilar from like Elmer's white glue. In fact, it's very similar to it, but it's not, exactly the same. So, you know, because all it does is it really just glues the loose fibers of the leather, the hide, glues them down. That's all it does. I mean, it seals it, it adds a protective layer. It looks nice, but essentially it just keeps that leather from being raw on the edge. You know, and that's an important thing with these because these are going to get a lot of use. People are going to handle them all day, and you don't want that edge to get messed up. See, this is a raw edge. See, it's not really glossy, but then I come in with a burnished edge, and it's got a gloss to it. So one, it looks good. Two, it does protect the edge. But no, that's all we're doing. Just burnishing the edges, you know, so they look nice and that they're protected and that they will last longer, yada yada yada. And then before we start burnishing, we just wipe off the excess. Wipe it off from the outside. Part that people are going to see. Inside, not really that important. I mean, I do go back and clean it up, so it looks nice, and then take pride in your work. Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Just take a little pride in your work. Take a minute to clean it up, and you'll be okay. Yeah, you just patiently go through it. And that's basically all you gotta do. And then you get more neoprene gloves. Got stain all over my fingers from dyeing these earlier today. So my fingers are turmeric yellow, kind of. And yeah, I want to get more gloves. That way my hands don't get stained multiple different shades of brown and black. Look like some sort of weird disease or something. Okay, clean up that. Nothing. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to talk. I'm willing to take questions in chat. All right. You don't have to burnish the edges when you're working on leather, by the way. It's not, some mandated decree from upon high that one must burnish your edges. Just burnishing the edges looks nicer. When you want to, make a product, you want it to look nice. You want people to look at it and go, yes, I want to spend money on that. I would like to give you money for that because I like the way it looks and it brings me a small idiom of happiness. It's kind of the thing. And we just burnish it again on our jeans because I don't use canvas, I use denim. And, everyone's got their own thing, you know? And one last little piece of burnish on this one. And then we're done. And then we can move on to the next one. You know, like I said, it's not complicated. It's not some big, multifaceted programmed task that, has to be done a certain way. The only reason I'm burnishing these now after they're riveted is because honestly, I kind of forgot to do it before I riveted them, after I dyed them, and they sat out and dried. Got to remember to do this step before I do the assembly step. You know, generally would probably make life a little easier. All right, and final polish on the pants. There, perfect. All right, last line. And then I can work on some other projects that I need to get done, which you can hang around and watch me do. You know, you don't have to. I appreciate you being here, though. I'm grateful for whenever y'all show up and decide to watch, even if it's one or two people. Y'all are still watching, and I'm still just gonna babble to myself. Can't help it. Just the way I am. Alright. Off the excess. Alright. I didn't even skeeve down the edges or trim the fucking edge to where, prevent much from me. I just want it to stay the way it is. Because I've found that looks better and lasts a nicer amount of time than when I roll that edge and make it uniform. It's just how it is. And you just keep going. It's all that's the secret in life. Just keep going. You know? Things might suck now, but tomorrow could be a better day. You never know. My grandpa used to say, every day you wake up in a pine box, it's not under 6 feet of dirt, there's an opportunity to have a good day. Too many people seem to forget that. Get so wrapped up in their problems that they don't take a moment, appreciate where they're at and what they got. You know, I mean, there's lots of ways to get in your head and panic and worry about shit. But there's also a bunch of ways to not do that. You know, there are plenty of ways to back away from that and go. You know what? I didn't get buried alive. I choosing now to have a good day. Too many people get too focused on details that don't necessarily matter. You know, they get hung up on everyday details that honestly don't need to be worried about. You don't need to worry about what celebrity is doing what or who. You don't need to worry about what politician is lying to your face. You don't have to. You can just exist in the moment and enjoy. That's kind of a big thing that a lot of people seem to forget. Is that they don't have to worry about things that don't affect them. I don't care that Taylor Swift was at the Super Bowl. That doesn't affect me. They only showed her less than 1% of the broadcast. I think somewhere somebody says like 54 seconds of the entire broadcast of the Super Bowl involved Taylor Swift. You know, and that's fine. You know, but I know people that are complaining about that 54 seconds as if it was 2 hours and 54 minutes of the whole damn Super Bowl. It wasn't. It was just 54 seconds of something that went on for about 3 hours before overtime. We went out, give me a second, got a relight. What is this? Cambridge Especial. Okay, whatever. Never heard of it. It was a gift from a friend. It's not a bad stick. I kind of like it. You know, it's not a bad stick at all. It's, I think it's a Habano. It's not a traditional Maduro, but that's fine. Life isn't always what you want it to be. It's what you can get, what you have. That's much better. All right, work on the round then, and then we are done with this. Then we can move on to the next project. That card doesn't sound very good at all. Okay, let's put these to the side. You know, we only have, 8 of them, and that's fine. They go in the box with the rest of the pipes, cigar stands we've made. Because now we have inventory that we are currently building up. For when we finally can go to market. When we go to market, we will have product to sell to the people that we can be proud of and that they will want to buy, which is always nice. You know, always nice. You know, and that's something you should think about. It's when you're putting out a product, you want it to look good. You want it to be nice. You want people to want it. See, whole box full of pipe and scar stands, dark brown, black, and light brown. Although I'm thinking of calling this light brown more of a, it's not quite an English tan, but it looks kind of like wood grain because the leather, how it absorbed the dye. And it's just a Phoebens Pro dye. That's all it is. I like Phoebens. I know there are other dye companies out there, and I know that other people like other brands. I just happen to like Phoebens. You know? Now, the other thing we're working on, sorry, I put my phone on silent. There. Now, if anyone calls, you don't have to hear my ringtone. The other thing we're going to be working on, and we're not sewing it tonight, or I don't feel like sewing it tonight, is the top half to this. This is the bottom half of the the 3 stick cigar case. Now, this top goes to another one where the bottom I made didn't fit. It was way too loose. Now, this bottom fits nice, but I've also changed how I mold it, which I think has come out for the best because now it fits and doesn't fall out. But now we're going to burnish the little inside edges of the top piece, which I'll show you here in a second. We're not going to burnish the sides because the sides get burnished when it's sewn together. But this is the top piece. This is the other half of the top piece. I'm just going to burnish this inside edge right here. These outer edges, I'm going to wait until it's sewn. Then I'll, burnish it. And then I'll wet mold it. And I'll come back and repolish. Okay? Then we got three other things that I want to burnish again because they need a better burnish. But we'll get to that in a second. Okay? It's a little Tokonol, right? And I just run my finger along the edge that I want it on. Scrape the extra off back into the jar because waste not, want not. Remove the excess from the face and from the back. That way it doesn't look janky. And then we're just going to burnish it. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to sit here and burnish. Burnish, burnish, burnish. Because that looks good. I am actively looking for a leather sewing machine which will make this faster. Once I have that, I can really start cranking these out. I like working with leather. I find it cathartic. I find it relaxing. If you're watching, you can always ask me questions. I do not mind. You know, we can hang out and talk. But the one thing you don't have to do is subscribe. You do not have to subscribe. I'm happy if you just drop a follow. If you drop a follow, I'm happier. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with just a follow because following's free. You know, I mean, yeah, I have a banner ad and I run an ad every 30 minutes. But honestly, I'm not looking to make money off streaming. This I'm going to make money off of. Well, not this piece in particular. This is mine. That's a personal piece. Like, I go somewhere and someone goes, "Wow, I like that. Where did you get that?" I can go, "Makeup," and then I give them my contact info, and they can commission, or they can go to any of the shops that said they will carry my products, buy one for themselves. You know, they can just buy one. And that's the beauty of it. The only reason we're only burnishing this one edge is because it won't be easy to burnish when it's assembled. It won't be. It'll be very, very difficult because of how it's made, how it's sewn together, and its final shape. Its final shape is not an easy to burnish shape. It is for big round edge and the two sides, but this little interior edge, it's not easy to burnish. It's a pain in the ass if it's sewn together, which is probably what I should have done with those cigar stands is burnished and then assembled. But I got impatient, and that was my mistake. And I need to be better, and I will get better. And I will remember from now on that I don't need to rush. You know, we're not going, we're not taking anything to market until mid to late March, maybe early April, probably early April. And that's fine. The other thing we're going to work on are these little hat cards that I've been making. And they're just scrap leather that I put some patterns to. I don't think you can see the patterns from here in this light, but I'm going to give them to a couple friends of mine. As a hey, thanks for being cool, or hey, thanks for being my friend. Have something for free, but don't tell nobody where you got it, right? And that's fine. You know, it's not. I like to make things for my friends. I like to make things that they can use or show off. Preferably if they can use them. If they can use them, then that's awesome, and that makes me happy. Right? That's nice. Other side. We only got two more cards after this, so not not a terrible amount of work for Tuesday night. You know, you don't have to kill yourself slaving away trying to make something, but you do have to be consistent in your work effort and your work ethic. Ethics. Sorry, I forgot to talk for a second. You have to be at least consistent in that if you're going to do something where you're trying to make money. You know, nothing in this world is free. Nothing is going to be handed to you unless you're lucky in life, which I haven't been that lucky. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll be lucky and have money. Just, do whatever I want. Until then, I just got a side hustle. I just got to hustle, 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 and work my ass off. That's the thing I don't get. Is some of my god kids don't want to work their butts off, but they want the benefit of work without the actual work. They don't want to get a job, but they want to get a paycheck. It's like you're 16, you're 17. One of them's 19, never had a job, not in college. Sits at home eating Cheetos, watching anime, and nothing wrong with sitting at home watching anime. I watch anime from time to time, but they don't have a job. They've never had a job. They're not in college. They're not in trades or learning a trade. They're just sitting around playing video. They don't even stream. They just sit at home, play video games. They don't do anything. I don't know how they can stand it. If I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I find boredom to be vulgar. That's why I have a full time job, part time job. I had a side hustle with Uber, but somebody T-boned me when they ran a red light. Now I'm waiting to hear back about my damn car. Now that this isn't, Cedar and Smoke is a proper LLC in Texas, then I should be okay because I can then use that instead of Uber. Because I'm kind of tired of driving for Uber. I'm sick of the bullshit and the drama. Like, like I don't get why people are dicks to Uber drivers sometimes. Like I get that it's a basic do nothing job where I just pick people up and drive them from point A to point B, but there's no need for them to be assholes. Like there's no need for them to get out and slam my door to my car as hard as they could, or to throw change at me and laugh when they get out. Granted, people like that are few and far between. Most people don't act like that. Most people are like, "Thanks for the ride, have a good night," and then they go on about their evening. You know, they don't really start shit. And I think it's kind of funny that it doesn't happen often, but every so often, people would be going to like a college party, and like, hey, you want to come in and have a beer? No, no, no. I am 40 years old. I have no business going to a college party, especially if I'm 40. That always struck me as weird. It's when the old guy shows up to a college party. He doesn't go to class. He just some dude found his way into the party. It's like, no, that's not for me. I'm not doing that. you know? And it's not like that happened on any regular basis. Like, invites to random fucking college parties were few and far between. And I've never taken one because I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm literally old enough to probably be some of their father. Somebody there, I'm old enough to be at least half, probably half the kids that are there. I'm probably old enough to be their fucking dad. You know, and that's what you don't want. I don't want to be that guy at a party. Like I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, I need to burnish that. That's good. That's okay. Yeah, I need to reburnish this side. But I'm not saying like, oh, everyone invited me to all the fucking parties. No, far from it. Like, in the 5 years I've been driving for Uber, I may have been invited to like 6 parties total, and that's not just college parties. It's like parties in general. But I'm not gonna, you know, deal with it. I'm not gonna go to some random party and then people are like, "Oh, who are you?" So and so's Uber driver. He invited me in. Just seems kind of weird. Yo, all right, okay. You want to say hi to the internet? Huh? You want to say hi to the internet? No. All right. Yeah, but all we're doing is just slicking down the edges. That's all we're doing. Till we get to where it feels really nice and smooth and hard, like polished. Then we buff it on our jeans a little, and then we're done. And then we just move on to the next one. So that's my bro, my brother. Yeah, he don't want to say hi to the internet. That's fine. That's his choice. You know, you gotta respect someone else's choices in life. If they don't want to be on the internet, they don't want to be on the internet. You know, he's also lost a bunch of weight lately, which is cool. I'm happy for him. He's been trying to lose weight, and he's doing really good at it. Spends half hour to an hour on his treadmill every day. He's following his diet. He's lost a noticeable amount of weight, you know, which is good. He also cooks a mean deer. Like for Super Bowl Sunday, he did a leg quarter of a doe that one of our friends shot, and some hog, and it was phenomenal. Like Mozart with the meat. It's insane. He's really really good in the kitchen, which is a good thing. You know, if you know how to cook, you don't have to know how to cook everything. Like you don't have to know how to make beef Wellington or bolognese, or not a bolognese, a bourdon, or whatever you want, or coq au vin. But you gotta learn at least 5 things you can make regularly. At least 5 recipes. I don't mean put in pot, boil, let sit. I'm not talking hamburger helper. I mean, I'm talking like learn how to make certain dishes that you like to eat, right? And if you do that, when you go out into if you're one to one a date, somebody, you have a repertoire of dishes you can show off. Like, hey, I know how to make this. And trust me, that looks very impressive to, people you want to date because it shows that you know how to be an adult. You know, I mean, not that being an adult is hard, it's just tedious. but it looks better. It makes you look better. Yeah, it makes you look good. It makes you look like someone they would want to date. You know, and that's a good thing. Last Edge. Like I said, you don't have to be perfect in life. You just gotta try. You know, and if you try to make something and it doesn't work, you can always try again. You know, like I'm not very good at stamping patterns into leather yet. I've never been good at, but I've never really done much of it. So that's why I've started doing these little hat cards because there's a pattern on there. And it's how I'm teaching myself to control. Because you don't want to go too hard. You don't want to go too soft. You don't have to hit it multiple times because then the pattern, the stamp can shift. And you get a double stamp and it'll look weird. So I am practicing stamping leather while making little hat cards for some friends of mine. That way, I can get better at stamping. Because I did stamp the two halves for this. I don't know if you'll be able to see the pattern, but it's not the best. It doesn't line up well. And that blank space around the pattern is from where the leather will be molded, where it would distort the stamp. But the point being is that practice. I'm practicing it. I'm getting a little better at it. I'm still no expert, but I'm getting better. And that's an important thing to know. Is that you're getting better. You don't have to be perfect in life, but you at least got to try to do something and improve your skills as you go. Unless you're a savant, then when you hit the ground running, everyone's impressed. I am not a savant. Workaholic, yes. Savant, no. Okay, joking all the way. Well, yeah. So leatherwork, it's fun, but tedious. It really is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but it is tedious because it's repetitive, and I kind of enjoy that. One of my friends is like, it's a sign of autism. I'm like, yeah, but I've been tested. I'm not autistic. I don't have Asperger's. I'm just a typical dude. Now I'm trying to figure out why this one took the dye a different color than these two. Because this is the same leather, same dye. But for whatever reason, this is so much lighter. And these are darker. I'm not sure I like that. Because I want the dye to be light. So, I have a theorem, a hypothesis that we can test. I'm going to put my shirt down like this, rotate y'all a little so you can see what I'm doing. Shirt's here. I'm just going to take these. I'm just going to buff them on the shirt, on the face, the dyed side. We're going to see what that generates. Now, this is just a shirt that is way too big for me that I've had for 15 years, 16 years. I've had since I was in my mid 20s, so it's okay if I'm gonna, use it for this. It served its purpose. And I'm just gonna buff the dyed side and see if I can brighten them, right? Yeah, at least brighten the tops of the design of the stamps. leave the dark spots in the valleys and bring it up better. Eh, it's not really helping. Try it on my jeans. See if we can get a better, better burn it. Oh, polish, I guess. So I'm not burnishing it. It's the hide side. It's the top. It's the grain. It's not the flesh side of the leather. It's tough. So there's no fibers really to bind down. So you don't have to burnish the hide side. Flesh side, yeah, you can burnish it if you need to, but I prefer just to press it down with a little water and burnish it with water instead of toconol. Oh, yeah, that lightened it up a little. Not much. All right, let's try this next one. Here's the before. Try it on my jeans again. Bring up my legs so you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, excuse me. I think it's funny. One of my friends and I were sitting around talking the other day, and the topic of the Volk How podcast came up. And, I watched it. It was alright. I mean, I feel like Wings is way too sensitive to be on that podcast. And feels kind of like Boogie's trying to one up everyone with drama in his life. You know, the thing with the magic cards and with the shaman, the drug guy he's seeing did to his dog. It's pretty rough. That's not right. If it's true, that's not right. If it's a lie, it's not right of Boogie to sit there and lie about it. Because that's kind of like when Chris Chan lied about one of the dogs attacking a kitten and he showed a picture of a cat from some movie that was mauled and, well, he commenced e-begging. Hmm. Yeah, lightened a little. Not as much as I would like. It's still mostly the same shade. But the pattern looks better. So that's good. But no, my friend and I were talking about the Lol Cow podcast, and then he asked me, "Do you think you could ever be on that podcast?" It's like, probably not. I'm not a Lol Cow. At least I hope I'm not. And I am nowhere near big enough to be noteworthy enough to be on that show. You know, I don't think I'd be a good guest on that podcast. I'm just not that interesting of a guy. At least I don't think I'm that interesting. You know, I don't know. Plus, I don't want to be a Lol Cow. I don't want to be one of those poor souls that gets bullied and doesn't have the common sense to just get off the internet, turn it off, go outside and play. I mean, plus, it seems like locals have bad hygiene, and I like to shower every night before I go to bed. 'Cause I don't want to get in my bed covered in grease and grime from the day. Plus, a hot shower at night helps you relax. You know? Um, yeah, that lightened it a little bit. It still looks kind of like jerky. Not too thrilled with that. Oh well, keep trying with the next one, see if it improves. But like, I don't want to be like DSP to where he's, on one hand, before I say this, I gotta say that I respect DSP's hustle. The dude's on it. He's constantly putting up videos, he's constantly streaming, but the e-begging bugs me. Like, dude, you are the same age as me almost. I think he's a little older. And you can't hold down a 9 to 5. You can't hold down a full-time job. You can't do anything because you've sunk everything into streaming and you've burned so many bridges that it'd be hard for you to do anything other, you know? Plus, he got caught doing something on stream that you don't do on stream unless it's one of those sites. And Twitch is not the site for that. I'm not gonna say what it was. Everyone should know what it is that he did, and it just doesn't make sense why he did that. Oh wow, that lightened up nicely. Okay, okay. So what I just learned is rubbing it on my jeans, building up a bit of heat in it, lightens the dye. It softens the color, which is good. Which is good. You know, that's a good thing. Now the cigar and pipe stands that we just burnished, the light brown ones. Hold on, let me adjust the camera. There you go. I swear, once I get a better camera set up, there'll be a camera up there so you can see what I'm doing and not have to, deal with bad camera. But anyways, I digress. These light ones, they have kind of a wood grain look to the dye. So happy accident. But I don't know how that's gonna go. Like I don't know how people are gonna receive that. That may be popular, that may not be. I don't know. Time will tell. But one of the things I'm thinking about for the cedar and smoke is that if I go to like Fiesta or the rodeo as a vendor, of course I'm gonna have a lot more inventory than this. But I'm gonna use cigar boxes to display stuff. This one will not be used for these. I'll find a better box for cigar stands, cigar pipes. The high gloss ones I'm not gonna make any more of, so I'm gonna have a few of those. The valet trays, I'm out of material to make more, unless I want to try making them out of veg tan, in which case I'm also out of veg tan. Go figure. But cigar cases, I am gonna put in another box, the big payback box, and they're gonna all the products are gonna stand up like this in the box so people can see it. You know, that way, it works out and people can select what they want to buy and be happy with it. You know, I'm not too happy with the dye job on this bottom half. I don't know if you can see it, but it's uneven and tiger striped and not in a good way. I don't know if that was just the leather or if because I dyed it after I've molded it. So the next one I'm going to put together, the top for this, I'm going to mold, obviously after I've dyed it. Hopefully that will fix the issue. Because this dark brown or show brown, yeah, show brown, that was the color name, looks fairly uniform on this, but I saturated nothing when I dyed it. I did it the way that I used to do it, which was with a shirt and buffed it on, buffed it off. So hopefully, if that's how I'm going to get a uniform coat of dye, then that's what I'm going to have to do. Nothing I can really say or do about it. But no, I'm. I feel like I'm in an okay place, right? Like, yeah, my car's in limbo because I'm waiting to see if Uber's rider insurance is going to is going to total my car or pay to fix it because I'm not at fault. She ran a red light and they've and pretty much already figured that out. But I need them to tell me if they're going to total my car so I can get another car. I'm looking at another Volkswagen because I like Volkswagens. There's no shame in liking a car, but I'm not just going to go buy another car if they don't total my current car. If they're going to fix it, if they're going to fix it, then that'd be great. Because despite being a shitbox, it was my shitbox. We're going to reburnish this bottom. The edges are kind of splitting, and I want to kind of get that not to be a problem. So we're just going to put a lot on, right? We're going to put on a little more because we want it to burnish the face, and I don't mind if it burnishes the edges of where it is molded. That's not a problem here. I'll show you what I'm doing. It's nothing terribly interesting. I'm just doing this. That's all I'm doing. Just really working that tokenol in there. Really getting it burnished up. Really getting that edge protected. And this is what I mean. Like these edges, it's hard to get a slicker in there to burnish. So, and you can always reburnish an edge. You don't have to worry about it so much. After the fact, does it help any? I don't know. I honestly do not know. But it makes me feel better. And since this is my personal cigar case, it doesn't matter if I jank it up. I can always fix it. Put the next one and do better on the ones I put up for production. Which is why I'm looking at a leather sewing machine. A leather sewing machine will allow me to, sew these uniformly, not have to spend half an hour sewing each one. It's about 30 minutes to sew a top and a bottom. To an hour, depending on how distracted I get. You know, depending on how distracted I get, takes about an hour to do a cigar case for sewing, which is fine, I guess, but I need to speed that up, which is why I want to get a sewing machine. A sewing machine will allow me to really, really get these done quickly and uniformly, uniform, where they're more uniform and not so haphazard. If that makes sense. The other thing is the dye kind of makes these stiff, which is fine. They're supposed to be stiff. I want them stiff. I want them to be rigid because that is how you get a product that'll last. You want your leather work to be rigid if you're doing stuff that's supposed to be rigid. If you're doing stuff that's supposed to be soft, then it needs to be, soft and malleable. You know. We only have one more side of this thing to burnish, and that's this bottom part. And then I'm going to try something. I'm going to try an experiment. No idea if it'll work. If it works, awesome. That's great. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, then I'm not going to stress about it. Because again, this is the proof of concept. There's been 2 iterations of it, and I'm not going to worry about the proof of concept. Proof of concept is a proof of concept. It can be where I bounce ideas off of it. I'm going to see if putting tokenol on it proves the feel of it. Because right now it doesn't feel too good in the hand. Like, it feels okay, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel the way I think it should. It does. Commercial. And we're just going to keep going. Keep going. That's all you got to do. Just keep going. Clean, clean the stick up a bit. The only thing is the Tokenol can sometimes, but not always, pull the dye. A little of the loose dye that hasn't saturated all the way in. They can pull a little bit off. Which is why there's so much black and brown on this slicker. Because I'm sure if I waited longer to burnish, it wouldn't do that. But to be fair, this has been done since Monday. It got dyed yesterday. I should have plenty of time to dye. But even then, the Tokenol still shows up yellow from the dye. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it. Okay. Ooh, this feels so much nicer on the edge. Okay, let's try an experiment here. Let's see what happens if we put just a little Tokenol, buff it into the leather. All right, we're just going to spread it on. And we're going to try to buff it into the leather with the t-shirt. Because, that's what we want to do. Get a fair amount, get it on there. In all the recesses. And we're going to see if this improves the finish. Right? So, get our shirt. Find a spot that doesn't have any Tokenol on it. And we're going to go to town. And we're just going to keep doing this. We're just going to burnish it with our finger and a piece of cloth. Not a rough cloth. It's a soft little cotton t-shirt that, like I said, I've had forever and I don't wear anymore because it's way too big. And we're just going to buff it in like we're waxing a car. Maybe not a car. We can do some circular motions on here. It'll be okay. In fact, let's use our whole palm. Let's just use our entire palm to do this. Right? And we'll see if we can improve the finish. Okay, pessoal? Okay. We're just gonna see what happens. We just keep buffing it. Just buffing away and see what happens. You going in? Hey, do we have any factory smokes left? Yes. Alright. Could you bring me one, please? Thank you. Alright. That actually feels a little slicker, a little nicer. The side's still kind of tacky. I don't mean tacky like sticky, like, oh, it's, glue. I mean, it doesn't feel the same. This side feels much nicer now. Much more shiny. So, do it again. Just spread it on. Nice and not thick. Just get a little layer on. You don't need much. Right? Just get it into all the little nooks and crannies and recesses. And see how we can do. Yo, hold on. One sec. No, not throw. Oh, actually, oh. Yes, you did. Wow, you're impressed. I only can't catch. Thank you. Okay. And then I'm going to switch hands so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. But all I'm doing is buffing. Just buffing. Buff, buff, buff. Working my fingers into all the little grooves. Especially around the seam where I've been sewing. So that it hopefully gets in there and really moves that token all around, does what it can. Then we're going to move over, clean out the little stamps where I put my initials in this case. We're going to buff. Just buff the living hell out of it. That's all we're doing. Just buff, 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 buff. Don't have to do much. Just buff the living shit out of it. That's all we gotta do. Don't need much. You know? Eh, we're just gonna keep going until we feel like we should stop and check it along the way, make sure it looks okay. Oh yeah, no, that feels so much better. It's a satin. It's like a oiled finish almost. So we may do it to the hat cards, but now let's do one more big uniform pass and see if we can get it going. No, it's already going. It's done. But you know what I mean. Yeah, it actually looks a little better too. Just clean the token all out of the stamp spots where I put my initials. So I don't want it to pool in there. I want it to not pool in there. Okay. This looks better and feels better. Awesome. That's actually good. Now let's do it to the hat cards. We're not going to do it to these. These all want stuff before we do any treating because that may affect its ability to case and then be molded. Case is when you saturate leather with water and then prepare for stamping or molding. Wet molding, not dry molding. You know, bit of a difference. You know. All right, just put some on this card. Move that. There. Now you can kind of see it, I guess. Don't need much. Just enough to make it slippery. And we're just going to keep going. That's all we got to do. We don't have to do much. Right? Take our shirt and start buffing. Buffing the living hell out of it. We're trying to generate a little friction, a little heat. Really drive that token all in. Now remember, these have been cased, which means they were saturated so I could stamp them. And they have been dyed. So, if you heat it up a little, just through friction, in theory, that should be enough to one, hopefully lighten the dye, and two, protect the dye. Yeah, that's out. And I don't feel like relighting it. Now, this is the hide side, the flesh side, the side that was facing the inside of the animal is on this side. So typically you don't have to token all this side. You know, there's no loose fibers unless it's suede to worry about. You know. Ooh, yeah, that looks so much nicer and it adds a nice little shine. Just gonna keep buffing until my fingers stop, sticking to it. Because by then we have removed any and all excess tokenol and driven what other tokenol that's still there into the fibers of the hide. And I've gotten some weird questions since I've gotten back into working with leather and started a little LLC that kind of annoy me because I don't make leather. I do not tan animals. I don't make the leather. I just use the leather. Oh, that is so much nicer. These have a bit of grit to them. So this is apparently working. But there's a dude at one of the cigar shops I go to that was like, if I brought you a rattlesnake skin, could you make something out of it? Like, no, it would have to be tanned. You would have to get the hide from a tannery, and then maybe I could. But I'm not. He's like, but I can get a snake. Can you get it tanned though? Because I can't work on it if it's not tanned. I don't have the knowledge to tan leather. I don't have the facilities to tan leather. And I don't want to deal with tanning leather because that's not an easy process. I mean, that's kind of a big thing to do. It's like a big task. I don't have the skills to perform that task. And yet this guy is insistent on, I'll get you a rattlesnake and I'll skin it and you just make me a wallet. It's like a wallet off a rattlesnake. It's not going to be a very big wallet, bro. I can make you a bracelet, a belt out of it, but you would have to fucking have a tanned rattlesnake skin. You know, I can't just make something out of a raw hide. An untreated hide. It will not last. It won't stick around. Snake skin can be fragile. You know, but he's just absolutely dead set on me doing it. It's like, bro, come on, man, come on. I can't do that. You know, I can't. I'm sorry. You know, yeah, that's the thing. You gotta know your limitations, right? I know that I don't tan leather. I buy leather and I make stuff out of it. No, no, I have to fight over it. But no, it's just like I'm not gonna make. I'm not going to sit there and make a belt, or in his case, he wants a wallet, and I can't do it out of snakeskin because raw snakeskin is not going to last. It's going to become brittle. It's not. It'll start to decompose just naturally from sitting out in the air. It'll become brittle, it'll fall apart. It won't work. And they don't want to hear that. It's like, well, I'm sorry. I can't do nothing about that part. That is just part of life. It's knowing what you can and cannot do. And trying new things. Always try something new. Try to learn something every day. That's what I do. I try to learn something new every day. There's one point where I would read the dictionary and I'd learn a new word every day. And I'd read it in the morning, and then I would try to find a way to use that word in a sentence or in conversation. Did it work? Yeah, more or less. You know, and it wasn't like it was like super impressive. All right, here's the one that I'm really interested to see what happens because it took the die differently than the other pieces that I turned into hat cards, which is weird because this came from the same piece of scrap as the other hat cards I made, but it took the die completely differently. Which is, I'm interested to see how this one turns out when we polish it with Tokenol, which I don't think is an acceptable move. But Nobody's here to tell me not to, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it anyways. And we're just gonna put some medium pressure on it. Wipe our fingers off when they get a little coated with Tokonol from holding it from the other end. And just keep going until our fingers don't feel like they stick to it anymore. You know? Really put it in there. See what it does. That's the fun part. That's what I like about experimenting with stuff. See what I can do with it. You know? Let's see how it looks. It's got a ways to go. Can't tell from the sound. Like when you're burnishing something or polishing leather, when you're burnishing or polishing leather, you can tell by the sound and the texture. If you're using the slicker, you can tell by the resistance. It'll change. It'll get real slick real fast. That's how you know you've got it. So we'll just keep going until I feel it out. Until I hear the change. Once I hear the change, be good. You know. I hear it changing. It's still kind of sticky. So I'm gonna switch spots on the shirt to a clean spot. I mean, it's stained with dye, so when I wash it, it just doesn't matter, I guess. But we're just gonna sit here and burnish it, see what we can get out of it. Because that is what we're doing. We are working towards the goal. Yeah. Ooh, I like this already. I can't wait to show you. It looks a little better, a little more protected. And we're gonna see how it does. It's even changing color a little, which is nice. I kind of like that. Wish I had some antiquing compound. If I had some antiquing compound, I could experiment with that. Oh, wow. Ooh, that got nice. Ooh, I can make shape. This looks so much better. All right. What do we got? That looks a lot better. And it's picked up a nice gloss. And it's lightened up a little, which is nice. Although I still don't know why. This one came out so radically different in finish than these other two. Because they were cut from the same piece of scrap at the same time. They were all cased at the same time. They were all stamped and done relatively at the same time. But this one is just so much lighter. I don't get it. But you know what? I'm sure this probably has to do with how I was applying the dye. You know, so who knows? Who knows? But man, these feel so much nicer now. They feel so much more like leather good than before. You know, I like how these feel. These feel good. I'm happy with these, and I'm gonna be happy to give these to my friends. You know, let's do this. I kind of want to stitch this, but I don't want to spend a half hour at the least doing it because it's not fun. Like I know it sounds stupid, but it's not fun. It's very tedious. It takes a lot of time to get it done, and I don't want to do it right now. It's like what 9:30 here in South Texas. I don't feel like sewing it right now, but should stitched together nicely, and I'll do that on next stream. I'll sew it with y'all, and then we'll case it and mold it, and then you know leave it overnight to 24 hours to dry in the mold with the mold. And the mold isn't like a mold I put it in. Mm. These are the molds. They're just wooden dowels that I've rounded down on the edge that I then hammer into the piece. Like top one gets the big ones, and they get hammered in, and they stretch the leather while it's wet, and then it holds that shape when it dries. It just takes forever to dry. And this bottom one, originally I was using 3 of these small dowels, but it it didn't do well. It made it too small, and it didn't really work with what I was trying. So then I experimented and put 3 of them, and put 2 small and 1 big, and that's how we got the better fitment. You know, that's how we got the better fitment as I drop it on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a genius. I drop shit all the time. Actually, not genius. That's neither here nor there. Excuse me. No, I like how that feels now that we've applied token. Now that we've polished it, I guess, Tokenol, it feels much nicer in the hand. And that's a good thing, because part of, holding something made of leather is that tactile sensation of holding something, you know? It's just part of it. It's just holding something, the way it feels. Oh, like these little slim wallets I made. They feel good in the hand. My personal wallet that I've been carrying for about a month now, trying to test to see if it works. Yeah, put my gas card on top so you don't see my ID or my credit card or my debit card. There we go. My personal wallet, it's just an 8 rivet wallet with some stitching and a window ID. And then a thumb notch to pull cash out or cards, depending how you carry your stuff. I like to keep cards on one side and cash on the other. But this feels good in the hand. It feels well made. It's not burnished, so it will wear and tear over time. But I like the way it feels. I like how the flesh side of this leather very raw, very, very raw, very fuzzy, almost like suede. And then the hide side is oil tanned, spray camoed. Well, they call it spray camo, but it doesn't look like spray camo. you know? But again, when you work with leather, part of it is a tactile thing, you know? Like when you get like a real wallet, a real leather wallet, not a genuine leather wallet, because genuine leather is usually blended scrap that's mixed with an epoxy or an adhesive, and that's why genuine leather falls apart so fast. But real leather feels good. Even the stupid koozie I made as an experiment for a friend, um, I just used to hold the dowels that I used to mold cigar cases. It feels good. And that's kind of the thing. You want your leather projects to feel good in the hand. You want people to hold them. People are going to be holding these. They're going to be carrying them around. And if it feels good, they're more likely to buy it. If it looks good, they'll buy it. If it feels good, they'll buy it. And when they buy it, you're more apt to get more sales. And that is important. You do want to make money if you're doing this. Unless you're doing this as a hobby, then you know, you don't need to worry about people buying it. However, if you're doing it as a hobby, you should still take pride in what you're doing because you want your friends and family that you give things to appreciate what you've done. And you want them to go, this is good workmanship, this is good craftsmanship. I like this. You know, and there's always a good need for good scrap. When you have scrap leather, you can make other little things like hat cards, cigar stands, cigar and pipe stands, bracelets, keychains. Hell, some people make earrings, you know, and that's fine. That's that's another way to make money with what you're doing. You don't have to worry about the overreaching goal. You don't have to worry about this, that, and the other. As long as you're putting out a good product that people want to buy and people are willing to pay for at a price that you're okay with, you'll be set. You don't have to worry about every little detail, about every little thing. You don't. Trust me. You don't have to worry about it. You know, part of the charm that I'm going for with what I'm putting out is that's handmade. Because it's handmade, there's individuality to each piece. They're not all uniform, they're not all homogenous, you know. Each one has its own little quirks and flaws or blemishes that make it different, you know. I've made a bunch of little scripts to hold tools from my workbench, punches, pricking irons, and a couple stamps. But you don't have to do that. I just want them up where I can get them. And because they're up, turn that off, where I can get to them, you get the idea. Are these wonderful ideas? Do they look good? No. Do they function for what I want them to? Yes. That's kind of a key there. You want stuff to function properly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work. You know, shoot. I, I apologize. That was rude. You don't need perfection, right? Like I still have a bunch of blank wallets I need to sell. I just really, really hate hand sewing. I've got 20 more blanks for cigar and pipe stains. I've got more key pockets for the slim wallets. I just don't have the material to make the main pocket. Although I could probably make one out of veg tan and dye it white, brown, or black. See where I go from there. That might be a good project. We may do that next time I stream. You know? Who knows? Always a possibility. There's always a chance. I've got some one-offs that for tea pockets. These are called tea pockets for an obvious reason. They're shaped kind of like a tea that I don't have a pair to. I don't have another one the same color to throw on there. And so they're just sitting there until I get another one. Maybe I won't, maybe I will. If I do, awesome. If I don't, well, them the breaks. You know? Mm. But I mean, there's always something that I could be working on, like a prototype for a pipe mat. Uh, the koozie, I still have the template for it. I'm probably not going to make another one because I don't like how of a pain in the ass it is, and it uses so much material that it's not cost effective on my end. You know, like each koozie uses almost $10 worth of leather and maybe $1 worth of thread. When you factor in my time having to cut it, sew it, turn it right side out, that it's not necessarily worth it. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Because it's got these beautiful seam lines, but these seam lines hang because See if I can actually turn it inside out. Guess it was a pain in the ass to turn right side out. It's probably going to be a pain in the ass to turn inside out and then turn it back to right side out. Bear with me. Getting it. It's getting there. It's getting there. All right, come on, baby. Yep. That was a pain in the ass the first time. It'll be a pain in the ass the next time. All right, so this is what it looks like when it's inside out. You can see where I sewed right here. And then when I turn it inside out, the seams are hidden. Hidden. Now, honestly, I could probably trim these down. And I could. But I'm not because this is going to sit on my workbench where it will hold things. Originally, I used this pencil holder. But then I started using Scratch All to mark leather, and I didn't need a pencil. So now I use it to hold the dowels that I used to hold cigar cases. You know, it's not anything drastic or major. It's not world altering. It's not changing the power balance and the dynamic of the world. No, it's just holding wooden dowels, essentially. You know? That was it, you know, and it's not, like I said, it's not anything major or drastic or world changing, but it's something we made, and it's a practical thing to have, like a pipe stand. Pipe stand holds pipe, but because it's got those notches, it can hold a cigar. You know, and of course, I got a really nice one for myself that I made. Has a nice concho. I like the concho. You know, and that's the thing. When you when you're gonna do a business like leather goods, you don't have to start off with like a million products. I have what? Valet trays, slim wallets, cigar cases, both a 3 and a 2 stick, pipe stands, 5 things. That's it. That's all I have. And those are going to be my 5 core things until I can get bigger and better. Like I have a working prototype of the pipe case, but I know revisions I want to make to it. And those revisions be a little further down the road. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine, you know? But we can get there when we get there. Until then, until I've worked out the prototype and I can get it really nice, it's not a pressing concern at this time. It's just not. It's not something I'm overly worried about. And even with the pipe stands, pipe and cigar stands, I have ideas like using grommets instead of rivets so that people can use them like a fucking keychain, which would be nice. You know, put it on their keys, put it in their pocket, and off they go. You know, easy. And because for right now, and probably for a very long time, I'm just one guy in my garage working. I don't need to have a bunch of different products, 'cause then I'd have to have a bunch of different people making products. Right. And I don't want to do that, you know? Now, eventually, maybe, and I don't see this happening, Cedar and Smoke Leather Goods, LLC, will get big enough to have employees other than just yours truly. But again, that's not something I see happening. I do not see my little leather company getting that big. I don't. Let's be honest. I'm not MaceCon leather, and That guy makes incredible product, and he definitely knows his stuff. Like he is very knowledgeable. And I've asked him questions in the past, and he's answered them. Not personally, not like face to face, but like on YouTube comments and on Twitter. He's a very personal guy. He's willing to give you information or knowledge if you need it. And that's the other thing. You have to have an access to knowledge. You don't have to always have, you know, the best tools. You don't need the best material, workshop. Having good material helps, but I'm not buying like $1,000 halves, sides of leather. I'm not buying super expensive material. I'm buying material that I can afford, that's the best I can afford, that puts out a good product, which is important, you know? In fact, one of my friends was telling me I should put pockets on these for cutters, and I have the die to cut the pocket. I just don't want to do that. I don't like the way it looks with the case. I don't think it's the best solution for it. You know, I don't think it's the best solution. I don't think it's the best way to go. So I'm not doing it. And that's another thing. Know your limitations. Always be willing to work harder to get better, but don't take on projects that you cannot do because you don't have that skill set yet. And I mean yet. Now I'm planning to make a bag for a friend of mine for his birthday, but because he's kind of a mentor to me. He's a very smart man. He's very educated. He's very knowledgeable, great person, and I look up to him. He's like a mentor to me. So I want to make a custom little, toiletry duffel bag for him. Nothing complex, but I don't quite have the skill set to do that. And I don't want to hand sew it. I want to use a sewing machine because I think that would be the best option. But we'll get there when we get there. It's just one of those things. But I am happy with how that Tokenol improved the finish on the cards and the cigar case. I really do like that. I think that came out really nice. Now, I want to do something stupid. Let's try an experiment, shall we? Let's get one of those light brown wood grain pipe cigar stands. One of these. And then get our t-shirt out. Move our cigar. Get the token all down. And let's see what happens if we buff it. The whole thing. With token all. Right? If we're happy with it, we might do it to the rest of it. Right? Okay. Let's start buffing. Let me put it down so you can see what I'm doing here. Turn that light off. There you go. Now you can actually see what I'm doing. Just buffing. That's all we're doing. Just buffing, buffing, buffing. And we're just going to see what this does. And if we like it, we'll do it to the rest. And if not, then we won't do it to them. And again, this is part of the fun of doing a little craft project or having a little company that does, stuff like this. You know, that way you can experiment, see what you can do. Ooh, that feels good. I definitely like how that feels in comparison to the other side. So let's do it to this side. Wipe up the excess, get it back in the jar. Because waste not, want not. Want not, waste not. Or is it waste not, want not? I don't know. I don't. Alright. And we're going to buff it. See how this improves the color. See how it improves the finish. We're just buffing it away. Buffing it in, buffing it on, buffing it out. Put it off. And I'm sure there's somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. It's going, don't do that. But we're going to see if it works. And if it does, that'll be great. Oh yeah, that feels so much better. Looks nicer too. There. I don't need nearly that much. There, that should be plenty. Wipe off the excess. Put it back in the jar. Okay. Let's buff it. And then we will take a look, see how it looks in comparison to another one if we haven't done this to. And we will compare them, and we will see what they look like. Because I am now curious. And again, this is a product I make out of scrap fetch tan from the scar cases. You know, so if I get enough traction with this company, I make okay, I make better money at it. I might pay for a strip cutter, a better one than what I have, right? Where I can cut multiples of these out at once from scrap and go from there, you know? And we just go from there. All right. I really like that. I don't know if y'all can really see that. Let's turn this up a little. Angle it down. Sorry, messing with the ring light. See what happens. All right, come on. There we go. Top down. Kind of better. But you can kind of see what I mean by the dye gives them a little bit of a wood grain, which I like, but they picked up a nice gloss. I really, really like that. I think that is a winner. So we're gonna do it to the rest of them, you know? And again, I'm not an expert, so this may not be a smart thing. Wait, do I pretend to be an expert? I know that there are people out there with far more knowledge at leatherworking than what I have. So I'm going to turn the light back on so I can see what I'm doing. And we're just going to burn it, polish the other seven with a little Total, you know? Just rub it on, remove the excess, and then buff the hell out of it with a t-shirt. And that's all you gotta do. Just, polish it. And you polish it until you don't see it anymore. And like I said earlier, you'll feel the texture and you'll hear a change. It's very tactile, but also auditory. Like if I had a really good microphone, I could probably do this as ASMR, but I don't. That'll be gold for another day. Oh yeah, that definitely improves it. And see, that's the important thing about business, about trying new things. Because eventually you may stumble upon an idea that's a winner. When you do, you'll be good and happy. Pick that up. And just Buffy. That's all we're doing. Trying something new, seeing if it works. If it does, then awesome. Good. I'm going to be happy. Because it seems to be working and it seems to look good. And I like that. Because again, I want to put out a quality product that people will want to buy. You know, because that's just part of life. If you're gonna, make things for sale, you want to put out a quality product that people will want. You don't want to put out garbage. People will not buy garbage. You know, I'm not spray painting homemade wands in my apartment and then attaching a dead mantis to it. I'm not, you know, claiming magic wands or just making practical little things that people can buy. I'm not sitting here claiming to be an eraser and then, some sort of music guru genius. I'm not Cyrax. Now, that guy's crazy. That guy definitely probably needs serious mental help because he is not a good person. Okay, that looks good. Let's move on to the next. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it with the black and brown ones. I'm just doing it with these because I've only got 8 of these, and it's not that big of a deal. Oh, that car sounds like shit. No idea what's wrong with that one. All right, and we just buff, buff, buff. That's all we're doing. Just buffing. Just buff it. Get it working. Get it into the weather. Just buff it. That's all you gotta do. If you got questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer. I'm not that kind of person to where it's like chat can't talk to me. No, talk to me, please. If not, it's just me babbling. Although maybe some people like the sound of my voice. My ex-girlfriend says I love the sound of my own voice, which is true. I do like the sound of my voice. Oh yeah, so nice. I am extremely happy with how this is turning out, chat. I mean, and again, this is a dumb idea that I want to try. We don't have to, you know, claim it's a winning fucking experiment here. It's not. It's just that. I was trying a new finish on some leather and seeing if it looks good. And I think it looks good. I also like the way it feels. It makes the leather feel tough. Not tougher like texturally wise, but it feels more durable. While feeling softer, smoother, and slicker in your fingers, which is nice. Which is good. Oh yeah. And now for the end part. Doesn't need much. Wipe off that excess. And then just buff. That's all we gotta do. Just buff it in. This is not a bad idea, actually. I think this is a good idea. Glad we came up with it, chat. I'm glad we did that experiment on those hat cards. You know, I don't know if we're going to be making hat cards for sale. It is an idea on something to do with scrap. But so far, we're just doing cigar and pipe stands with scrap. That's way more than I needed. God damn. I did not need that much token. Oh. Alright. Yeah, it also kind of polishes up the rivet a little more than it was, which is nice, don't get me wrong. And we bumped it. Listen to the police siren in the distance. Alright. Buffy, buff, 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 buff. That's all we're doing. That's all we gotta do. And again, you hear it and you'll feel the texture change as you buff. And you know it when you know it. It's hard to explain what it sounds like, but when it does change, you just know. You just know it if you do it more than a couple times. Like if you if you get into leather work or if you're in leather work, then maybe you can agree with me on this. But when you burnish a side or polish a side, the texture of the leather kind of changes, the resistance, and the sound changes. I'm not going to do this to the black and brown because it's a lot of work and I don't want to mess those up because those are ready to sell. Those are ready, you know, those are those are done and they will be sold. A little more. That needs a little more heat. A little more. Perfect. Awesome. So, like I was saying, without the tokenol, with the tokenol, it picks up a slight shine, a little bit of a gloss, which is good. I like that. But again, this is just an experiment. Will I do this for every single pipe stand I make from now on? Probably not, because I can't see myself using this much tokenol just to do that. And there's probably a much better, you know, polish or oil or finish that would get the same result. But I'm just one guy in my shop doing what I can with what I got. And that's all it is. You know, can't go any further than I can with what I got. You know, maybe one day, but until that day, this is what we've got and this is what we can do. You know, that's all it is, right? And you just keep going and you get better as you go. That's the beauty of it. is you just keep trying. You know, you don't start off walking when you're born. You don't even know how to crawl when you're born. You're kind of the bump of nothing. And you learn to crawl, and then you learn to walk, and then you learn to run. And then eventually you learn to drive and you don't walk anymore and you get fat like I did. And well, that's the end of that. Point being is you learn as you go. And that's the important thing in life. Just be open to learning as you go through. You're not gonna get every little thing down perfect the first time you do it, or even the first dozen times you do it. Sometimes even the first 100 times you try, you might mess up, make little mistakes. But as long as you learn from those mistakes, you'll do better. You know, and as long as you don't get discouraged from your own little failures in life, you know, you grow as a person. That's hugely beneficial to you. You have to grow as you get older. You have to, nobody stays the same forever. You know, I'm not the same person I was in high school. I'm not all about going to keggers and high school parties or parties in general. I'm 40, a little tired, a little grumpy. I don't always feel like going to a party or going out drinking. I'm not the same person I was in college where, I just have to go and do this rager. No, I'm older. I'm tired. It's the best way of putting it. It's like being tired. And it's not that you get tired as an adult, you just get tired of doing certain things. And again, that's just part of growing up, getting older, is changing. You constantly change and you learn as you go. I keep saying that because it's true. You learn as you go. Right. You know, you mature as you get older and you change as a person. And that's not a bad thing. Like I've got a friend that I went to high school with who still goes out and parties every weekend. You know, Friday rolls around, he's at the bar. Saturday, he's at the bar. Sunday, he's griping about having to go in on the work week. You know, and that works for him. That's what he wants. Excuse me. Yeah, that's what he wants. So I want to stand up, see this from a different angle. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that is changing nicely. But you change as you get older. Most of the time you calm down. Not a wildcat anymore, running around, kicking up dust and stirring up trouble, ruffling feathers. No, no, no. You get a little more patient. You get a little older. You get a little wiser, and you learn that it's not the best way to do things in life. You know, you just kind of mature. God dang it! Ah, drop the shit. Yeah, well, that's fine. But no, like I said, you mature as you go through life. You pick up different skill sets or different hobbies. And that's fine. That's fine. As long as you're learning and growing as you go, you'll be okay. You know, because I've learned in my 40 years of life, and I wish I would have known this in my teens, especially in my late teens, my early to mid 20s, when I was a rabble rouser and a hellraiser and a hellcat, just a total jerk. That there are only two things in this life that I'm in control of: my actions and my reactions. Everything else, I can have as much input as I want, but I'm not totally in control of what my dog is going to do. I'm not totally in control of but the guy in the car next to me, in front of me, or behind me is. And I'm not in control of what my neighbors do. Now, granted, my neighbors aren't doing anything dangerous, bad, or concerning. They're my neighbors. They're like me, middle aged. And, at that point in their life, they're like, you know what? I don't want the BS and the drama from every little fucking problem or relationship I'm in to spill into my home life. Happy home, happy life. You know? And if you just, calm down, you'll go further. You'll be happier. You know? And for God's sakes, don't buy NFTs. Those things are just pump and dumps, and people bought a bunch of worthless MF. Well, they weren't worthless at the time. They paid out the ass for them, and then now they can't sell them because somebody artificially inflated the price, and well, they got stuck with it. And NFTs are like any other investment, which is speculative. Now, NFTs are extremely speculative, and that's why I didn't like them. That's why I didn't buy any. That's why I didn't invest in them because I saw them as a gamble, and that's what investing is. It's gambling, but I saw them as a gamble wager I didn't want to make. And so while some of my friends were going on and on about, oh, you got to buy an NFT, you got to buy this NFT, I'm like, no, no, I'm not buying the Lazy Yacht Club or Ape Board Apes or any of that because it's pointless. But you had NFT bros going, oh, I own this, and yada, yada, yada. And then I made the jokes about right click mafia, like most reasonable people did. And I avoided it. Instead, I put my money in more practical investments, more predictable investments, and I made money, which is good, for saving for retirement. Plan to retire from a full time job when I'm 50, 55, so 10, 15 years from now. And just hiring some people to manage it and make money on it, and then I can just sit there, hold my hand out, and be a hands-off owner, you know, and that's fine. That way, I'm old enough to do whatever I want, whenever I want, when I retire, but I'm still young enough to go out and enjoy it. I'll be able to enjoy the money, be able to enjoy my retirement. I won't be some 65-year-old putting around in a nursing home that's fucking forsaken, you know. Of course, I also won't be paying for my mom's nursing home, which is not a forsaken nursing home. Her nursing home is very nice. Should be for 36,000 a fucking year. But I digress. You know, and that's she didn't save her money. She never invested. She just blew through whatever little money she ever got, which I always thought was foolish. But even she's admitted that I have a head for business, or an acronym for it at least, where I'm okay with it, and I know how to make money. I know how to invest. But I've been following an investment plan that one of my friend's dad told me when I was in high school. Because I was poor in high school, and his dad was upper working class, lower upper class, upper middle, lower upper class. And I asked him how he did it. And he said, "Well, I want you to read these two books. Excuse me. I want you to read these two books and then come back." And the two books he had me read, I read them over the summer break. Well, I read them over a week. One week, one the next week. And then I talked to him about them. And the two books were Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was a good book to read. Very, very informative. It taught me the value of assets versus liabilities. Kind of like this other book I read much later called The Millionaire Next Door, right? And so, like I said, I read that book and we talked about it, we discussed it. And then I read the other book he wanted me to read called The Richest Man in Babylon. And The Richest Man in Babylon taught me about making money work for you, right? And the premise of the book is there's these two guys in ancient Babylon. One is a chariot maker, and the other, I believe, was a sandal maker. He made sandals, one made chariots. And they are essentially living hand to mouth, right? Like, absolutely hand to mouth. They're not progressing any further along, right? So, what ends up happening, hmm, what ends up happening is they end up running into a friend of theirs from school who is a musician. And he is going to play a party, and he invites him to go with him to this party at the richest man in Babylon's house, right? And while they're there, they ask him how he did it, how he got so wealthy. And he brought up a good point. If you are working just to pay your rent, you are a slave to your landlord. If you are just working to buy materials to make chariots or sandals, you are a slave to your supply vendors, right? And you can make your money work for you and still have your career, your 9 to 5, right? But the way you do it is if you save up 1,000 silver and you put it in the bank, or you put it in a bag, because I don't think they really had banking back then. I think they said a bag. You put it in this bag, yeah, you'll have 1,000 silver, but you'll never have more than 1,000 silver. You'll never have more than what you put in the bag, you know. So if you save up $1,000 and you put it in the bank, or you put it in your dresser drawer, safe at home, whatever, yeah, you'll have $1,000, but you will never have more than $1,000. If you put it in the bank, you'll never have more than $1,000 in a while because interest isn't that high. So your interest rate won't be that high. You won't get that much in return. But in the book, if you go and you buy a slave, and I'm against slavery, but if you buy a slave, you can teach them to do what you do, and then you can double production. Or you can take that money and buy a field and plant barley. And if you plant barley, then you could harvest said barley, make money. But if you take the money you earn from selling that barley and you don't turn around and buy seed or retain seed for your barley, that field will never produce money again until you do it again. But if you take that and you buy the barley and you do that for a while, you can save up, buy a slave, unfortunately, and have them work the field, freeing you up to work on your sandals or chariots. And then eventually you can buy 2 fields, and 3 fields, and 4 fields. Eventually you can buy a slave to, work make chariots with you. And that's how you make your money grows, by buying assets. Now, I don't think people should be bought and sold. I'm against the slavery. I think it's abhorrent. I think it's terrible. Sorry, I'm not happy with how this one polished. Needs a little more. But point being is that if you buy assets, they can make you money. That's the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset can be used to generate money, right? A liability does not generate wealth. It does not generate revenue. It costs you money. Sorry, it costs you money. And if it costs you money, then that is a that is a liability. My phone I see it as an asset because I use it to connect with my clients and customers, day job, and my part-time job. And then when I was doing this Uber as a side hustle, the car was an asset because I used it to make money. But that's because I paid cash for the car, didn't have a car note. But point being is that that was an asset. All right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Those look a lot better. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, those look a heck of a lot better. I'm going to close the token. I'll put it away. All right. Let's see. Yeah, these definitely have a much better sheen to them. Oh, they're shiny. And they feel so much nicer in the hand. Like almost like oiled without being oiled. Yeah, I am happy with how that turned out. I'm not gonna do it to the rest, because that's a lot of tokenol. I'm not gonna do it to the rest because that would be a lot of tokenol, and I don't think that would be practical. I don't think that would be good. Plus, I kind of like the matte black, and I kind of like the matte brown. Like, I think the matte brown looks nice, and it already feels good because these I buffed. And so we're not gonna apply tokenol. These I didn't buff. I used a little cotton dauber to apply the dye. And so they definitely felt rougher. But now that I've hit them with some tokenol, they feel a lot smoother, which I think is an improvement. I think that's a good improvement, actually. So do a quality check, touch each one, rub them, make sure they're smooth, and then put it in the box. Oh yeah, those are smooth. I like that. I think that was a good idea. I'm glad we did that, chat. Oh yeah, perfect. And I've got 4 different rivet colors. I got a black metal, silver, gold, and a bronze for the rivets. Now I like the way bronze looks. It's like an antique bronze, so I think it looks really, really good. You know? Oh yeah, that's nice. It's very nice. They almost look like they're made of cedar, kind of like a dark cedar, like a red cedar. Which I think looks really, really nice. I think that looks really, really good. I'm happy with that. This is the antique bronze I was talking about. I like how that looks. I just like that. Oh, that feels nice. That feels really, really good. All right, into the box you go. All right, awesome. Yeah, I am happy with that. And now that I know that when I go to make the rest of these, I want to add more of these cedar ones. I know to burnish them first after I dye them, before I rivet them. Hey, what's up, Nibbly? I know that they'll look better if I burnish them before I assemble. But that is a project for another day. But 20 more to go. We are making good headway on our business. Are you laughing at me, Nibbly, doing leather work in my garage? Are you laughing at me? Welcome to the chat. Glad to have y'all. I was making cigar and pipe stands for my little leather company. Little cigar and pipe stands has a notch to hold a cigar, but the notch also helps support the bowl of the pipe, protecting your pipe so it doesn't, fall over, get knocked around or bumped around. Just a simple little project I make out of scrap material. for cigar cases because that's the only thing I make out of the leather that I make these out of is cigar cases. But it leaves me with scrap, and scrap I turn into this, so I have an extra product. We also did hat cards for Stetsons, but yeah, yeah. Nibbly, I own my own little leather company. It's Cedar and Smoke Leather Goods. It's a little LLC. Not selling anything to the public till mid late March, maybe early April, probably early April, because I have a lot of stuff I have to get put together, and I want to have a bunch of product before I go to market. I've got a lot of cigar cases that I need to stitch, sew, dye, burnish, put together. I've got a bunch of these little 4 card slim wallets I gotta finish sewing, but those take like an hour to an hour and a half each one, which is why I keep putting them off. I've got a lot of products. Well, I've got 5 core products that I'm focusing on. Yeah, uh, like 2008, I was working on leather while I was in college to help, pay for books. And then I just got busy with life, and I've just recently gotten back into it. And so yeah, making a bunch of stuff, getting a bunch of stuff put together so we can go to market. I can have something I can sell to people. And yeah, exactly. Books. Did a lot of reading up in Austin on 6th Street at the library. A lot of reading. For those that don't know, the library is a bar on 6th Street in Austin, and it's a big college party bar kind of area. It's also where they have South by Southwest and a bunch of other stuff. It's just like 2 blocks of bars on either side of the street. And the library is the one I liked going to because they had cheap beer, very cheap beer, like house special cheap domestic 75 cents per pint. Couldn't beat it at the time. But yeah, no, uh, just actually about to end stream because it's almost 10:30. I gotta go to bed. Yeah, Nibbly, I've been streaming for since like 2016. Like I've made affiliate in like 2019, 2018. I've been streaming for a while. I just don't take it serious. Like I'm not like, you know, other people that are like, I have to stream, I have to stream, I have to make money. No, it's just I do what I can. Where and when I can. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting to get rich or famous from streaming, but I enjoy it, especially when I'm doing something like leather work or my Sunday streams, which is a stream slash recording for a podcast, Sunday Cigars. But yeah, like I know too many people that are like, "Oh, I have to get rich. I have to get famous streaming," and it's like you don't have to. Like you don't need to get rich, you know. But yeah. Anyways, I'm South Texas Fail. Thank you for joining me. Unfortunately, for those that just joined, we are about to end. I need to get to bed. I gotta get up early in the morning for work. But thank you for stopping by. If you liked it, feel free to drop a follow. Following is free. Doesn't cost you anything, and that's perfect with me. But yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Y'all be good to each other. Bye. Oh, shit. Somebody's raiding. Ah, crap. All right, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. All right, somebody raided. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for the raid, Zygon 105. I appreciate the raid. We were about to go to bed, but we'll stay up for a little longer. This is just a random little weather stream I do. I try to do it once or twice a week. On Sundays, I have a podcast stream that called Sunday Scars. It's 4 p.m. Central Time. If you want to come check it out, that'd be cool. You don't have to, that's fine. But yeah, I just sit in the garage on these little weather streams and work on weather projects for my company. And we tonight did finishing touches on 8 cigar and pipe stands. And I think they came out good. They're real glossy, so I got to turn off that way. But they're light brown with a almost like a red cedar color with a red cedar pattern to them. But yeah, we're just chugging along, getting the pre-work done before we can, take product to market. Okay, now I'm gonna actually end the stream because I am tired and I do have to get up early in the morning. So now we're ending. Again, if you enjoyed it, please feel free to drop a follow. Following is free, costs you nothing. Other than that, I love y'all. Be good to each other, and I'll see y'all next time. All right, bye.